Backstory. I dropped off my truck at my buddy's shop last week to have some work done. Yesterday, I stopped into the shop on my lunch break to get an update, and to my surprise, it was finally done. So I get the keys from the shop owner and tell him I'll get it out of his lot later in the night after I get out of work. Before I headed back to work, I wanted to check out the truck. I open up the door and everything is trashed. Everything that was in my center console is now scattered on the floor. I realize I'm missing a bunch of change and a couple bottles of cologne. No big deal, it wasn't that big of a loss, but I'm still distraught. I felt violated. I immediately knew that my buddy didn't do this, and no one at the shop would have done this. Someone was car shopping there after hours. So I let them know what was going on, and they apologized profusely and even offered me some money. I declined because they have always been good to me and it wasn't their fault. After I get out of work, my buddy, who works at the shop, gives me a ride to my truck, and as we pull in, I notice some guy messing around with one of the other cars in the back of the lot. We pull up on him and jump out of the car. He quickly puts his hood up and starts speed walking away. At this point, I figure me and my buddy are gonna tackle this guy down and hold him until the cops arrive. But once this dude turned around, I swear he grew 2 feet and 50 pounds and he was wigging out, ready to kill. I'm not the biggest dude, and I know when to pick a fight. This was not one of those times. So I back off and call the cops. Luckily, he didn't manage to get too far from the lot, and after the cops arrived and kept searching the area for any suspicious individuals in hoodies, they finally found him lurking around in some dark alley, and they arrested him for theft and vandalism. Details. So I am 19, and I look a few years younger. I look maybe around 16 at most. My little sister also looks younger, but she is in fact 7, but she looks 5. I guess it's a genetic thing in our family to look younger than your age. Because of this, I have constant people asking for my ID even if they are not employees. Normally, to quench their undying thirst of curiosity, I would just show them and leave. Okay, story time. So I was taking my sister to the mall, Mom's wishes, and we were having a great time. We bought cute clothes for me and my sister and ate delicious pizza at the food court. Around 3:30, we realized we should probably be heading home. We headed for the door, but we were stopped by a woman in her 40s. She did not have a child, but a husband who looked prepared for something bad. Here's how it went down. Entitled, "Mom, excuse me, miss, but is that your daughter? You look too young to have a daughter." By the way, me and my sister get this a lot, so we thought it would be funny if I said yes for once. Me, yes, it's my daughter. She was an accident, but definitely not a mistake. I kissed her head to make it somewhat believable. I'm sure a kid like you wants an older mommy, a mommy who can care for you properly. My sister started stepping behind me because she got nervous. Me, what? Well, take her off your hands. You seem too busy with school to have a daughter anyways. I was shocked a stranger would ever say that to anyone. I thought this was literally a prank. Me, are you joking? This has to be like a experiment or something? Are you making fun of me? Husband, please ignore my wife. Sorry, we don't want your child. Yes, we do. At this point, I looked down and saw this psycho witch trying to grab my sister from behind me. Come here, sweetie. It's okay, mommy's here. Me. Okay, joke's over. I'm her older sister. Her real mom is 40 and is at home. Get away before I call the police. I'm sure your mom won't mind. I called the police. I couldn't believe this was actually happening. The woman ended up grabbing my sister and running to her car. But not before I kicked her in the back. The police showed up and arrested her. I pressed charges, of course, and she went to prison for a good amount of years for attempted kidnapping. When this entitled girl started working, she had a bit of an attitude, but we all figured it's because she's a rich high school kid at her first job. She often would try to push her work off on others and would sass anyone who asked her to do anything. Everything she did was filled with huffing and pouting. Sometimes when the manager catches her trying to give other people her jobs or asks her to do something and make sure she does, instead of doing it, she'll sit in the middle of the hall in the back room. She will take up as much space as possible, and if you ask her why, she'll say she's just so overwhelmed. A few weeks ago, I found a disposable vape on one of the counters. I asked if it belonged to anyone, and my coworker said it was theirs, but was going to throw it away. Important side note, that entitled girl and several other high school kids recently were caught by their parents while doing a lot of hard and illicit substances, so they were all going through withdrawal from a few different things. I had other things to do, so I put it in my pocket and got back to work. Later, I remembered the vape in my pocket, and as my hand was over the garbage about to drop it in. Entitled girl, is that a puff bar? Me, yeah, but it's burnt, so I'm chucking it. Can I have it? What? No, it's burned. I don't care. Can I have it? No, it's burned, and you're supposed to be quitting this stuff. I put the vape back in my pocket. Seriously, you're not even going to use it. And I'm also not required to enable you. The rest of that shift and the next few, she was very awful to interact with. This past weekend, the entitled girl showed up to work sick as hell with something. As people were coming in, I was handing everyone a paper mask. She declined, and it's not my job to make her wear one, so I let it go. A bit later, I was packing up some food to take on delivery when the entitled girl tried to hand me some food plus receipt. Can you call out this order for me? Me, hearing her voice for the first time that day and realizing just how sick she is, so I jerked back from her. No, I'm packing my delivery order. Please, my voice is gone. No, I'm running behind on my work. Well, I can't, so drops the food next to me and walks away in a huff. At this point, I was just fed up. All of the little remarks and rude comments got to me. I called out the order and left for my delivery, while I contacted the general manager of the store to ask for advice. I have an autoimmune disorder, as do my mom and stepdad. It's risky for me to be going out as it is, and I was freaked out that I was working with someone as sick as that girl. I told the general manager that she had refused a mask at the beginning of the shift, and she's incredibly sick with something while working with people's food. I laid out an ultimatum that either she at least puts a mask on or I'm going home so I can keep myself and my family safe. When I got back from my delivery, I had to grab another and go, but the entitled girl was now wearing a mask, however, not covering her mouth or nose. The next time I came in, she was leaving to go home early. A few days later, the general manager and I had a sit-down. At first, I was a bit worried I did something wrong, but oh my God, it went better than I could have imagined. One general manager is going to try to make it so the entitled girl and I don't work together and promised my hours would stay the same. 2. The general manager agrees that her attitude problem is getting worse and the girl is on thin ice. 3. The best one yet. Next time she comes in without a mask and refuses, she will get written up and sent home. Corporate policy is that everyone needs to have a mask on properly while at work, and she knows this. Victory. Update. She came in without a mask again today. The manager offered her a mask and asked her 3 times to wear one. The general manager came in, saw her without a mask, and gave her a talking to about the ridiculousness of all this, as well as wrote her up. Then she came storming out of the back room after. I thought she would punch someone, to be honest, and basically yelled, "I can't believe I just got a write-up for not wearing a mask." She tried to claim she hadn't been asked, hadn't heard, etc. It was glorious. Edit. She was also walking around the back room talking about how she's going to find a new job and she's going to go up to the general manager and say, "Screw you, I'm quitting." What she doesn't realize is our general manager is the kind of person who will laugh in her face and say, "Great, get the hell out of my store." I live next door to an alcoholic. We bought the house over 6 years ago, in a nice neighborhood near downtown. House next door seemed to be under renovation. Still is. Anyway, long story short, the neighbor has shown her ugly self too many times to count, and I have transitioned from sympathetic to get off my lawn. Crazy lady. I also believe she has dipped into alcoholic encephalopathy. My lawn dude. That's his title in my phone name. Lawn dude. It keeps my life more simple to put where I know people from. So when they contact me, I can remember why I have them saved, i.e. Beverly, coworker, etc. Anyway, Lawn Dude is at my house doing his lawn dude thing when this crazy lady accosts him about dandelions. Says he needs to do something about it. Poor Lawn Dude. I told him to ignore her and stay away from her and do not do any work for her, because she has a history of not paying workers and accusing them of nefarious deeds during work to avoid having to pay them. And offering services for services, not true barter. This trade would be illegal in most areas of my country. No, I didn't tell him that part. Just said to try and avoid her, and I wouldn't recommend him to do any work for her. He said, yes, she does not seem okay. She smells like beer. English is a second language for Lawn Dude, but he gets his point across well. He asks me if he needs to do anything about the dandelions. I told him they are an issue, but I do not want to broadcast, spray weed killer, and I will get a dandelion tool to deal with them. Yes, I have dandelions. So does most of the street. So does crazy neighbor. In her world, everyone else is responsible for her issues. So her dandelions are my fault. Side-eye at the piles of trash bags and household debris she has across her entire front lawn and driveway. Beginning of lockdown, I had a bit of time on my hands. No social obligations, limited patients needing to be seen at work, so I got out my dandelion tool I had bought and started to go, working my way from the far side of the lawn away from the crazy neighbor. It was drizzling that day, so I had on a baseball cap and my raincoat over my usual outside work attire, yoga pants and a t-shirt. This is roughly 3 weeks after Lawn Dude met neighbor. Now, here you have to understand, I have had a lot of interaction with this woman. We have sat together over dinner. I have sat with her on her porch. She has been in my house. She knows me, or she should. Granted, that was at the beginning before I had decided she was beyond my capabilities. So the crazy neighbor drives into her driveway and I'm bopping along and at a good pace, pulling out dandelions in my lawn with my earbuds in. I start to hear a shrill voice, so I look up and pull out my earbuds and crazy neighbor is standing at the property line. She's been told to stay away and asks me, "Are you the dandelion lady? Are you going to my house next? I'm like 10 feet from her lawn where she is standing." I said, "I live here. This is my house I am working on." She squints at me. "No, is that you?" "Yes, crazy lady, it's me. And no, I'm not doing your lawn. Go inside." "You don't want to talk to me?" You know what? I'm done with this nonsense. I put my earbuds back into my ears. I look down and continue mowing my lawn. Yes, crazy neighbor is on my phone as crazy neighbor.